Check one. Oh, here we go. Hello. Okay. Took me a little bit of time to figure out the mic system. If you can hear me, let me know. Golly, that would have been real bad if I couldn't figure out the mic. If you're listening in post, as in you're watching this sometime after the stream is over, please skip ahead. There's a timer on the screen that lets you know what time is good to jump to should you be watching the VOD instead. Hello, Wiseman303. Welcome back. Happy New Year. Kitchener420. Hello. First time here came from Mythcraft. Awesome. What's up? Nice to see you. I hope you enjoyed that stream. I got to meet the Mythcraft people over at PAX Unplugged. They were wonderful. That was an awesome time. Appreciate it. Mango Cheesecake, welcome back. Hello, hello. Happy New Year. The idea for this game is great. I await the conflagration. I don't know what that's about. So, I do not know too much about this game, except that I really wanted to read it. I've seen plenty of things online about it. I've watched a small handful of videos to prep myself, but reading the pages themselves, this will be the first time I'm doing so, simply because I'd like to be a little bit surprised. But, nothing but good rave reviews for this, so I'm expecting something awesome. But to people who are returning, Happy New Year. To people who are new, Happy New Year. I'm gonna do a little bit of setting up behind the scenes. Looks like I got a little bit of time on the timer before we get started, so. Double checking the mic. Okay, I'm audible. Fantastic. Do I have everything going on in the background? Yes, that's good. I should sort this out when I get the chance. Cool. Great. Looks good. Okay. Wonderful. No, I was just talking to myself. That's fine. Volume should be okay. I moved the mic to the side because I had to talk quietly under my breath. Also, as is tradition, I'm a little bit under the weather, which is a bummer, but I will press on. I've just been a little bit sickly for the past month and a half. So if my nose sounds stuffy, I gotta pause to drink some water or cough in the background. Such is life. Such is what I've had to do for a while now. Thankfully this year, I didn't catch any bugs at PAX Unplugged, which is a nice change. I have a tradition of getting really sick after going to the conventions, which didn't happen. It happened later on in December. And with that said, let's jump into this stream. Let me see, do I have everything set up in the background? 3, 2, 1. Hello! Welcome, welcome. Happy New Year, happy 2025. I'm happy to say that we are stepping into game 61 of 99, which means that we are almost 2/3 of the way through the 99 More series, which is super exciting. I have a lofty goal of finishing the 99 More series by the end of 2025, which means we're covering, if I'm doing the math correctly, 60, 99. We're covering 39 games in 52 weeks. Which sounds doable, you know? It sounds attainable. Especially because after PAX Unplugged, I got to meet a whole lot of really cool game designers, got to visit a whole lot of really cool booths. So I have basically all of January all booked out of people I got to talk to and collaborate with, who have given me the go-ahead to cover their publications. One of those being the awesome people at MythWorks. MythWorks are the people who publish a number of very popular games, including the game that we're covering today, which is the Wildsea, as well as the game that we're covering next week, which is Slug Blaster by Mikey Ham. So these are two projects that I've been really trying to get a good look at, specifically for the 99 More series, because they are critically acclaimed by many of our peers, and of course by many of the award ceremonies that come from tabletop RPGs. But this week, specifically, we're covering the game, the Wildsea. This is where I pop up the cool pop-up. There it is, the Wildsea. If you haven't seen this before, this is a wildly popular project over on Kickstarter that got fully funded and has since launched, and has, I believe, if not already, a couple of supplements for the core book available on the website. So I really want to introduce this game to you guys. I really want to know more about this game. So let's hop into the next page and really get a look at what in the world the Wildsea is. Now, you can find the Wildsea. I keep moving my mic because the arm is blocking my screen. But you can find the Wildsea on two different places. The first that I'm going to recommend is the place that I bought it at, which is itch.io. Itch.io, you can go directly to Mr. Felix Isaac's itch, and you can find the Wildsea right here, which you can buy. It is already available. Many things you can check out here. If you go to Felix Isaac's main page, you can find all the different supplements and projects tied to the Wildsea available here, as well as their next publication, which is Pico, which looks awesome as far as I can tell. And you can check out all of these. The main book is over here. There are a couple of expansions, a couple of modules ready and waiting to be played once you understand the core rulebook. But if you don't want to drop money on this game quite yet and you just want to get a good look at it, I would recommend looking at the Wildsea free basic rules over here. The Wildsea free basic rules, if should you download it, let me just double check the PDF. The free version is 142 pages. So if you want to get the original book is somewhere in the ballpark of 360, and you can get 140 something of those entirely free. So I would check this out first. I think we're going to take a couple looks at this one in particular on stream, just so you know what you would be getting in the free version, and every now and then I'm going to tab over to the official longer version, which has more comprehensive world building lore, has more details for GMs, and has more character creation options. The other place you can find this game is on the MythWorks website. MythWorks are the publishers behind a number of fantastic releases, including but not limited to the Wildsea, as well as what is it? Into the Autumn Lively? What is the game called? Golly. Wildsea, Cyberpunk, Slug Blaster, Last Caravan, and a couple of other role-playing games that you can find over here, including Koriko Magical Year, which I've been wanting to look at for forever. Oh my gosh. And Under the Autumn Strangely is the other one that I saw over at their PAX Unplugged booth. You can also find the free rules kit over here, should you so choose. You can buy the physical version of this, which is this fantastic hardcover copy over here. Should you want to buy the physical version, the digital version is also available on this website. I just bought it on itch because I like having my library all in one place. But without further ado, let's check out what this game is about. Let's read this little blurb just to get an idea of what we'll be looking at, and then we'll take a look at the table of contents to see what piques our curiosity as we page our way through. Obviously, even the free version, which is again 142 pages, even the free version is a little too long for a stream that should only last about an hour and a half. So we're just going to jump around and get a good feel of this game. If you want a good walkthrough of what this game is all about, I would actually recommend that there's two videos online right now. Let me see if I can find it. YouTube. And these are videos that I have personally watched. Let me see here. The Wildsea. Yeah. So there's a great video by Dave Thomivore, who hosts wonderful, lengthy, thorough reviews of tabletop RPGs, which I would personally recommend. as well as the Quinn's Quest video, which came out closer to a year ago, which is also very comprehensive. So, hello, Mackenzie Johnson. Welcome to the stream. Thank you for tuning in. But yeah, I would recommend these two videos. I watched both of them just to get a little bit of a primer on this game, just so I'm not walking in entirely blind. But I am reading this game for the first time. So on their recommendation, I would absolutely check out these videos before reading this book, just to see if you want to get it. And of course, the free basic rules are entirely free. So with that said, let's read the itch.io page, get a little bit of a primer on what this game is all about, and then start from there. So, some 300 years ago, the empires of the world were toppled by a wave of fast-growing greenery, a tide of rampant growth spilling from the west. This event, the Verdancy, gave rise to the world you'll explore as you play, a titanic expanse of rustling waves and sturdy boughs known as the Wildsea. Now, chainsaw-driven ships cut their way across dense treetop waves, their engines powered by oilfruit, rope-golems, honey, and pride. Their crews are motley. Humanity's weathered descendants, rubbing shoulders with cactoid gunslingers, animated wrecks, and silk-clothed spider colonies, humanesque slugs with driftwood bones, and other stranger things. Each has a role and a reason to be out on the Wildsea, and it's their stories, your stories, that this game is designed to tell. Your character is a wild sailor, part of a crew cutting their way across the island-studded wilderness of the treetop sea on a vessel of your very own. You'll clash with survivor cultures and wild beasts, scavenge and salvage for wreckage and trade goods, chase rumors, and uncover secrets. The focus of this game is on exploration, progress, and change. You'll define the world of the Wildsea as you sail it. Adventures on the Wildsea start as hooks, elements of the setting or of a character's history with the potential to blossom into an arc, a story for you and your crew to experience. While playing through an arc, you roleplay scenes, montages, and journeys to make decisions, take actions, and resist your baser impulses. Completed arcs and the triumphs and disasters within them will allow you to develop your character as you play. Decisions are made through the conversation, a collaborative process that keeps all players at the table involved in the outcome of an event. The Wildsea's GM figure, the Firefly, is there to ask the right questions to keep the conversation flowing, as well as to bring the rules into play when necessary. The Wild Words Engine. Rolls are made using D6 dice pools, quickly assembled from the information you have on your character sheet and the situations your characters find themselves in. Dice rolled in this way help to direct the conversation toward outcomes of triumph, conflict, and disaster. Whatever the result, the story moves forward. Tracks are used as a visual reference for many aspects of your character, their relationships with various factions, and developments in the wider story. Their boxes are marked or cleared by your actions. You'll also collect treasures, resources, anything from salvage and charts to living secrets and forbidden spices. These resources are tracked on your character sheet and can be combined or sacrificed for various effects. Their precise uses and qualities are drawn out as your group's own unique version of the Wildsea develops. So, let me see if I can find it in my library. So from the Wildsea, should you choose to download it, I'm going to go to my download link. I already have a copy. Great. Here, download. So this provides you, obviously, with copies of the PDF. It also provides you with the pre-release versions. It provides you with the character sheets, a quick reference sheet, and you'll see a sheet for your ship, the one that you'll be using to traverse Wildsea, and you also have a teaser for their adventure, Wildsea Storm en route, as well as Wildsea Yuletide Core. So there's a couple of things available to you should you get the full version, even digitally. If you get the physical version, there's a fantastic, I believe it's a cover that doubles as a GM screen that you can get over on MythWorks, which is wonderful as well. So these are all the options that are available to you. Folio screen. Oh, here's the one. So this is the GM screen that is available to those who buy it. It looks fantastic. So now we're going to jump into the PDF. There's so much to go through, so I don't know how we're going to approach this. It's going to be real interesting. From here on out, we're just freestyling. This is the full PDF. It says here 185 pages, which really means somewhere in the 370 range, because these are spreads. These are two-sided pages. You can actually read the singles. It might be actually easier because there's more of a landscape format to these pages. Let's zoom in on a couple of these just to see what might catch our interest. In the contents pages. Oh, there we go. Zoom in over here. Fantastic. So things that we care about, obviously, core concepts. We're going to try to get a good idea of the main focus of the setting and what you'll be doing as you're playing. Thank you, Mackenzie, for filling in the people watching. Mackenzie says, Storm and Root is the first major supplement. U-Tide is simply the name for the latest core rules update. Oh, cool, cool, cool. So wait, let me see. Let me actually understand that. Let me go double check. So, U-Tide. So if I download this, is this the newest version of the game then? I guess so, because this came out literally a month ago, and this came out in 2022. So let me see if I can download the 1.3 version. And then, yeah, so this is the 1.3 version. I'm going to see if I can download it and open it in our PDF reader. Oh, stellar. So this is just a newer version. Fantastic. That's great to know. That's a good thing. This is all still 370 pages, but there's a whole lot of updates. And they also have... Yeah, fantastic. Thank you. So this is version 1.3. We have the newest version right now. And there's a changelog available in the download section on itch.io, which is good. Nice. Okay, looking at the table of contents, things we care about. Core concepts, obviously. Important terminology is good. We'll take a look at that. Let's see. Quick glance over Wildsailor, just so we understand the context of who we are. If we want to look at technology, that might be good. Mechanics, of course, we have to know what the dice system looks like. And then we'll see the various details of the character sheet and see what aspects of that we truly care about. And then when we play out a scene, we'll see how that plays out. For people curious about combat, we might take a glance at that. Combat always takes up like a strong hour every time we jump into it, so maybe I won't dwell too long on that. And yeah, and then maybe we'll look at character creation and see what that looks like. Again, there is also the free version here. Free version is 142 pages for anyone who wants to look at that. It says here what is not in this document, what's not in the free version. In the official version, you find more bloodlines, origins, and posts, more pre-made hazards, locations to use them in, deeper look at the rules, how the Firefly, which I believe is the game master, can tailor them to their table, more art, more setting information. So, good to know. And if you want to check this out for yourself, if you want to look at the free version before you choose to buy it, and you don't want to listen to me, it's free. You could just go to itch.io and pick it up for yourself and turn off the stream and buy it. And, you know, there's no pressure to stay around here. We're just going to be looking around, perusing, so to speak, the official version, just so we know. So I'm just going to close 1.1 and look at 1.3 instead. Yeah. So what I say whenever there's a quick start available, which is so useful, by the way, is if you don't feel like listening to this stream and you really just want to check out exactly the part you want to check out, do, you know? If it's available for free online, all you need is an itch.io account to really get in there. Hello, Trekkie. Nice to see you. A chainsaw ships go burr. That's what I hear. That's what I've heard. Let's look at core concepts. Okay. Core concepts of the Wildsea. Is this good? This is a good reading angle? Great. The treetops are sea. Though made up of branches and leaves rather than water, the treetops still act as a traditional sea in many ways. There are waves, formed by the natural contours of the canopy, ports, built into what little solid ground remains, and a vast number of ships, their hulls supported by branches. While it's possible to move through the canopy without a vessel of some kind, To do so for any length of time is a huge risk. So it's like an ocean, but on top of trees. Awesome. Land is scarce and valuable. Mountaintops and large chunks of earth or debris are caught up in the canopy, act as islands and archipelagos, fiercely guarded by their inhabitants. The settlements built on those outcroppings of remaining land are constructed with safety more in mind than comfort, leading to ramshackle appearances and multiple layers of defense against the ever-threatening waves. Plant growth is rampant. The plants of the sea grow at a dramatically accelerated pace, but only when connected to the iron roots, the huge mile-high trees that act as the foundation for the canopy you'll sail. Oh, okay. A cut branch will stay inert, but another will have grown in its place within hours. Though the upper limit of the sea may have settled, the topography is constantly changing, and every now and then an unexpected spurt of growth claims a ship or colony. Kaleidoscope. Hey, welcome, Kaleidoscope. Long time no see. Haven't been to a oneD&D stream since last year. Boo, if that's a 2025 joke, boo. I think my last stream was at the top of December, and I took the rest of the month off because I had hit number 60, and I just needed to rest. I was also feeling a little bit sick, so I'm still recovering from that, but this year I hope to continue strong. So thank you for coming back. Appreciate seeing you here. Okay. Open flames are forbidden. I think that makes sense in a world full of trees. Almost all cultures have prohibitions against the use of fire while at sea, and for good reason. Flame burns hot and long on Wildsea wood and spreads at a terrifying pace. If a fire does break out, even the most bitter enemies will likely put their differences aside to fight it together. Crezerin. I don't know what Crezerin is. Crezerin corrupts on contact. Secreted by one of the Wildsea's more dangerous vegetation, Crezerin is a potent toxin. Brief contact is a little more than sear skin, but long-term exposure warps both body and mind in terrifying ways. This, along with the threat of predators and falling, keeps most sailors on their ships during long voyages. The economy is barter-based, with much of the pre-verdant world's technology and resources lost in the murky depths. Salvage and recycling is particularly important. The economy is based on barter, usually of food or materials, but sometimes acts of service. Understood. Bounty boards are a common fixture, allowing locals to farm out tasks and have others solve problems they can't deal with themselves. Finally, it's a weird world. Wow, I butchered that. It's a weird world. W words are real hard when you have a stuffy nose. The Wildsea setting is designed to be low magic, high weirdness. It's a world of unusual creatures, woken spirits, and unbelievable abilities, but they're most tangibly connected to the waves themselves. There's very little in the ways of wands and spell books or magical study. The practice of twisting the world in mysterious ways is referred to as arcanautics, literally a delving into the unknown and uncanny. Arcanautics. All right. So the book has a couple more details about the Verdancy, which is the spread of leaves of massive canopies that operate as the ocean that you'll be traveling on. This is a description of what the Wildsea feels like. A lot of ocean-like qualities, as your movement, sound, and danger. Trekkie says, Crezerin, think that the sap of the giant trees can be an incredibly valuable but dangerous and volatile mutagenic and alchemical material. That checks out. That makes sense. There's a rough timeline that here that says it all started 300 years ago. An explosion of fast-growing greenery known as the Verdancy unrolls across the land. Within days, the whole world is covered with forest, mile-high trees. Wow, in days? Whose roots turn entire civilizations to mulch. Those with foresight move to higher ground. They are, as far as I can tell, the only survivors. Okay. Important terminology. Pre-verdant, which describes anything that has survived the old world without being corrupted by the oddities of the new. Islands are land masses that are not eaten up by the greenery or the Verdancy. Iron roots are the titanic trees whose sprawling branches make up the majority of the wave tops. A tall shank is a massive tree that dwarfs even the iron roots, sometimes peering miles above the rest of the canopy. That's really cool. Reef. A collection of junk, usually mechanical in nature, either on top or just below the leaf waves. Okay, good to know. By the way, if we haven't talked about it, there's so much art in this book. If I just page through, there's obviously this, which is so cool. This is the cast and crew, people you might be playing as. By the way, look at that one right here. Animated ship, how cool is that? This guy up top. There's also bug looking guys, squid looking guys, cactus looking guys. I mean, real diverse. It looks awesome. And then I'm just going to page through for a little bit more art. Every single page has something really cool. Look at these are ships. If you just keep paging through, you keep finding really cool things to look at, which is wonderful. So let's bounce back just a little bit. What is this? This is Layers of the Sea. This is different names for the different tiers of the canopies of the wild seas. So skies, thrash, tangle, sink, drown, darkness under eaves. Core 4. Okay, let's look at this. So these are playables, I'm guessing. These are playable species. The 4 species most commonly found building communities across the waves are the ardent, the ectus, the gow, and the celicrae. Can you guys see that? I'm going to zoom in. And the celicrae. Each have their own strengths and weaknesses and are uniquely adapted to life on the treetop seas. Ardent. Post-Verdancy descendants of ancient humanity. So these are the humans, I'm guessing. Forged by hardship and disaster. They vary in terms of culture, traditions, and appearance, just as their human ancestors did, but they share an ardent trait in perseverance. The ectus are the cactoids, fibrous cactoids of the ictering east. Most now travel the seas, determined to prove themselves in a world that tried to snuff them out. So that's these guys over here. Oh, they're so tall. How cool is that? The gow. The gow are grown rather than born, cultivated within the warm darkness of fungal colonies. Each surviving colony has its own traditions and biological quirks. Natural curiosity and a sense of adventure are common traits among all but the most conservative gow. Let's see if we can spot the gow. No. This guy's probably the gow. Oh, are they in order? That would make a lot of sense. This guy looks cool. Little fungal guy. And then the celicrae, I'm guessing. Celicrae? Hive mind of spiders. Thousands of them. What? So they're just thousands of spiders, which has shaped, bargained for, or stolen a human-esque form. That's terrifying. Many celicrae spin themselves silken exterior or inhabit discarded clothes and armor, much like a hermit crab huddling within a shell. A rare few win the lottery of skin. This is a tabletop RPG sentence for sure, passing unnoticed among the communities of other bloodlines. So this guy, it's the guy. Hello, Mr. Felix Isaacs. Felix Isaacs is here. What's up? Nice to see you. It's always so intimidating when the author comes into chat because I never know what I'm busy saying. It's like getting caught doing karaoke in your bedroom. You never really know what's going on. So yeah, this guy, I'm assuming is the celicrae, right? He's got a bunch of eyes. This underneath this cloak is what I'm guessing is thousands of spiders. How that's nasty. I love it. Just listen, don't be intimidated. That's the worst thing you could say. You can't just say don't be intimidated. Oh my gosh. To recap, because you missed the beginning. We just went over how you can get this game both on itch.io as well as the MythWorks website. There is obviously the available version of 1.3 Wildsea, available on both sites, as well as the free edition that has over 140 pages of free material, and then the obvious full version has closer to 370, which is insane. So yeah, wild stuff. If you pronounce everything wrong, oh my gosh. If you pronounce anything wrong, you're dead to me. I barely know you. How could I be dead to you? I'm kidding. I'm going to pronounce it as Celicrae. I'm going to pretend that the T is silent because I don't know how to say it otherwise. Okay, cool. And these are the other guys. The most common, though the most common, the core four are far from the only species. In recent years, the most notable three of these are the ironbound, the Ketra, and the mothran. The ironbound, this is something I heard about, and I just had to see it. So I was looking up art until I found it. And this right here is insane. It's amazing. The ironbound, the souls of wrecked ships sometimes gather material from the shattered hulls around them. That's a tabletop RPG sentence right there. Creating a body with which to escape the loneliness of the open waves. These flickering minds call themselves ironbound, a reference to one of the strongest ships of the old salt sea. That's a nice fantasy phrase, as the legends tell it anyway. Some mistake them for machines, but in truth, they're just as capable of learning and emotion as any other ensouled being. How sick. So obviously we don't have to guess. This is the ironbound. How crazy. That is super sick. That you're like, hey, there's going to be 7 species in this game, and one of them is going to be animated boats. The souls of animated boats is one of the 7 default species in this game. Insane choice of you. And one of them is thousands of spiders, and one of them is cacti. So, people who are missing the elves and dwarves, you have a couple of choices here that you might like. The Ketra. Like the Ardent, the Ketra are descendants of a humanity long consigned to the churn of history. Unlike the Ardent, they are trapped below the New Wilds as the Verdancy tore across the world, in mountain heart mines and industrial edifices large enough to withstand the questing routes. Exposure to Crezerine, croissant, and cramped pitch black environments warped them into something far removed from their ardent kin. Interesting. So my first impression was like manta ray looking guys, right? No eyes, lots of little tendril things. Love the look, but I'm guessing this is something what people who are not inflicted but affected by Crezerine might look like. Good to know. Last but not least is the mothran. Short-lived, but determined to fill their time with meaning. Mothran are fast, fragile, and often wildly decorated. Bright colors and elaborate clothes are common, a direct result of their pre-Verdant history of harshly enforced monastic isolationism. Though mothran have wings, the ability to fly truly is a rare one, leaving most capable of elegant gliding maneuvers. Maneuvers. It's just, I wasn't expecting it to be spelled that way. But with little opportunity to gain height without thermals and updrafts. And of course, we have the mothran. Last one over here. Nice. Look at a little friendly uniform. That's the crew. Those are your choices. I'm surprised to say this, but of the 7, I think the one that has the most shock factor is definitely thousands of spiders in a skin suit. That just barely beats out tall cacti and animated ships. So, Crezerine. Is there a pronunciation guide in this, or are we all just guessing? Does anyone know for sure how to pronounce these words? Is there a canon of how to pronounce Celicrae and Crezerin Spidersmen. Oh, that's a great way to say it. Spidersmen. Thank you. So if this guy, hear me out. If this guy has 4 arms, 3 arms? 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3 arms. If this guy has 3 arms, does that mean he took 1.5 people's hands? Actually, I can't even say that because, like, yeah, in my head canon, like, this hand looks the most like the fungal people hands. So maybe he just occupies the body of 1.5 Gal people. The world may never know. Anyway, wild sailors. This is us. We're wild sailors. What makes the sailors wild? Heading out onto the waves as part of a ship's crew is the first step, but that alone does not a wild sailor make. It's a willingness to explore, engage, to cut and bite and thread. Also, oh my gosh, the layout of these pages is so cool. As someone who has recently tried to redesign their stream to be less boring and black and white, I love the use of like toned splashes across these pages, and it's like subtle. It's not too loud, it's not too bold, but it's like little maps built into the paint stains that kind of make these pages not just white, which is awesome. Like, look at that. It looks great. I try to use paint stains wherever I can, and this is a great use of it, and I will be taking notes, let it be known. Anyway, some wild sailors love the sea. Was this where we were? This is probably where we were. Some wild sailors love the sea. Others respect it or fear it. But whatever their attitude, every wild sailor is drawn inexorably, great word, great SAT word, to the rustling waves. Crews and goals. The goals are to explore, to salvage, to hunt, to trade, and to adventure. Oh, there's a 6th. I said that like that would be the last one. To escape. I see. Okay. So there's 6 reasons why you might explore. Great. Pick one. Pick your favorite one. Pick 2 if you'd like. I'm sure there's no restrictions on how many you can pick. Those are yours. Oh, cool words. Cool word alert. Let's see what this is. Tools of the wild waves. A spore scarf. Beloved by those bloodlined with oxygen processing lungs, which is quite a small amount. Spore scarves are a useful barrier against the airborne particulates that drift through the rustling waves. Though the tar-treated fabrics were originally designed to be easily pulled up and over the mouth in the case of a spore cloud, they've shown just as effective at protecting the wearers from all manner of airborne hazards, from toxins to tiny insects. Cool. And then a rope and grapple. The land-bound, cool word, often question sailors as to the danger of going over the rail. Most shake their heads, turn and refuse to answer. There isn't a wild sailor alive that hasn't seen someone go over the edge, and many never return. The branches of the sea can be clung to, but between biting insects, searing Crezerin, and predators zeroing in for the kill, those grips barely last. One rope and hook may be simple, but they've saved countless souls from an express trip down to the under eaves. Then a blade is an option. Fantastic. Cool. Lots of lore building here. Oh, this sword is nasty. Look at that thing. It's like someone's jaw. How cool is that? Okay. Travel. Charts and mapping. We might not dwell too long on this. Charts and mapping. Wave walking. We love cool words in these games. Wave walking. Sailing. Okay, here we go. Ooh, cool. We got some cool words here again. Wave walkers use a mixture of brachiation. Are we going to explain what this word means? Are we just going to say it and leave it for us to wonder about? Sorry, I'm being a little scamp today. Brachiation. How many times is this word used in the book? Oh, it's used again. Fantastic. All right. You passed the test. You used the word more than once. Is brachiation a real word? Is it made up or is it real? I'm gonna Google it right now. I wonder if it's a real word. Nobody move. I'm looking up the word brachiation on my other screen. Oh, it's a real word. Oh my gosh, it's time to learn, everybody. Let me load it up. Wait. People are learning today. Give me a second. Brachiation is a real word. Brachiation is a... No, we're not going to read AI. Brachiation, or arm swinging, is a form of arboreal locomotion, wouldn't you know? In which primates swing from tree limb to tree limb using only their arms. During brachiation, their body is alternatively supported under each forelimb. Now we know. Now we know. I was not ready for this to be a real word. I thought you made this up. I thought that the Wildsea team was like, we're going to chuck in the word brachiation. It's not going to be nothing. People are just going to wonder. But it's a real thing. That's so cool. It's how monkeys move. I didn't know there was a word for that. Is a mixture of brachiation, leaping and scrambling to move through the canopy, with most augmenting their training with clawed boots and grappling hooks. It's dangerous, but it's also a useful skill to learn, even if you plan to spend your majority of your time on deck or solid ground. That's awesome. Sailing. These are the ships, which are sick, because their whole job is to move through canopies. Disney Tarzan beach surfing intensifies. Absolutely. Cool. These are the ships. These are dangers at sea. I don't think we'll dwell on this. Crezerin. Do we need to... I am curious about this. Let's figure out what this is. The trees of the Wildsea grow with astonishing speed. We're just going to be reading about lore for the next 45 minutes. I hope nobody minds. If anybody here is curious about the mechanics of the game, with all due respect, the rules are free online. You can check that on your own time. I'm here for lore. Eventually I'll get to the rules. Eventually I'll get to the dice rolling and how this game actually works. But right now I'm in National Geographic mode. I'm here to learn. The trees of the Wildsea grow with astonishing speed. Broken branches sprouting new roots within minutes. Crezerin is the eldritch chemical that causes this rampant regrowth, suffusing the sap fruit and leaves of the iron roots and the smaller trees that feed parasitically from them. Caustic to the touch and dangerously corrupting. Skin that comes into contact with Crezerin is left seared and blackened. Prolonged contact lets the chemical seep into both body and mind, though its effects can be countered with the liberal application of certain salves and spices. A good alchemist can use Crezerin as the base for numerous body-altering concoctions, and mystics burn and inhale the vapors to commune with the secret heart of the sea. Icterine? What is icterine? Is that like orange? That's my guess. I'm gonna go look in the back. Icterine. Yellow. I see. I feel like there's some etymology going on with icterine. It reminds me of a couple of other words, like nectarine, you know? What was I doing? Oh, reading. Okay, so that's Crezerin. If you want to read about spores, seasons, flora, fauna, cultures, weathers, and waves in Mire, you're more than welcome to pause the screen right now and read for yourself. Otherwise, I'm moving forward. Because right now we're deep in the lore section, and maybe we want to get to how to start playing the game. Because a lot of this is a lot, and there's so much to read, so little time. Civilization. We understand that most civilization exists on these islands, I believe, that are scarce because solid ground is hard to find and they're heavily protected. Post-verdant culture. Oh, are there any sports? I'm curious about sports. Let's do that. Many sports revolve around athletic feats of athletic and acrobatic agility mixed with a heavy dose of combat. One such sport that seems to have caught on in various settlements involves a combination of abseiling. Oh my gosh, so many big words today. Abseiling, that's a real word, right? Abseiling is a recreational activity that involves descending down using a rope in controlled conditions from a mountain, cliff, or man-made structure, also known as rappelling in the United States. Oh, interesting. I've never heard people use the word abseiling before. Abseiling? Abseiling. Lots of great words in this one. Real words. Real words. The delivery of fragile insect hives into another team's scoring zone with devastating force. Another type of blindfolded sparring contest. But perhaps the most common type is also the simplest, racing. Sometimes trained beasts, sometimes ships, sometimes even barefoot across the wave tops. A good race gets a community shouting and betting and celebrating together. It can be an excellent excuse for a feast or festival to reinforce social bonds. Here's a bunch of instruments. A tris guitar, jaw accordion, mezhorn, wolf wire ravito, rabir, scorpion tail maracas, and the ajna. Wonderful. Technology, cool. This is good to see because as far as we know, it's like low magic, high weird setting, right? It's self-described. Common technology: ship-mounted chainsaws, chemical engines, salvage-made clockwork, chains, ropes, and pulleys, bone-carved blades, crossbows and other string-tension weapons, and chemical propulsion firearms. Rarer are punch card-minded constructs, complex springwork, ceramic batteries, electromagnetic arrays, solar compressors, attachments for diving deeper or for soaring high above waves. Alright, this is religion. We're just going to skip this for now, just so we can get to a little bit of the how to start, I think, is what we're looking for next. Oh, here we go. Alright, we're here. Fantastic. Also, more fantastic art. Okay, what we need to start. A firefly. One of your group needs to take on the role of the game master to describe situations, play non-player characters, threaten the crew with monsters and marauders, and keep the story you're all pushing for running along smoothly. In the Wildsea, the GM is referred to as the Firefly, a guide to the world for the rest of the crew, just as fireflies lead ships to safety on the waves. Set of dice. Wildsea uses ordinary 6-sided dice, referred to as D6s. You're never rolling more than 6 dice at a time, and if you're the Firefly, you'll hardly ever need more than 1. A character sheet. We have character sheets provided by the downloads. And then a crew sheet. Holds the information necessary to build a ship, or roving home on the waves owned by the entire crew. Information for your ship is recorded on the crew sheet, shared with all players at the table. Great. And this is how to read the character sheet. We don't know what any of these things are, so we won't dwell too long on these. Background, edges, places where your character excels. Skills, more specific areas you excel in. Languages, aspects, and aspects are traits, gear pieces, or companions that make you unique. From what I could tell from the videos I watched by Dave Thamavor and Quinn's Quest, aspects are kind of the major customization tool in terms of defining what your character can do in terms of special abilities and things like that. So keep an eye out for aspects. Resources, things your character has scavenged. Milestones, major and minor. Drives, a character's drives to represent their immediate and long-term goals. Mires, Mires are vices and curses that drag them down. So this is kind of the positives, this is kind of the negatives, and then temporary tracks to record conditions and such. And the crew sheet has all this stuff, which we probably won't have time to look at. Which include like reputation, cargo, undercrew, and design. Cool. Okay, so there's scenes, montages, and journeys. This was mentioned in the opening paragraph or the opening descriptor on itch. Let's just figure out what the difference between the three are. Scenes. Most of your time playing will be spent in scenes. Short bursts. Try one more time, you got this. Short bursts of action, exploration, and discovery that give you a chance to develop the narrative and roleplay your character. Scenes are treated as a conversation between every player at the table, with the Firefly breaking in to ask questions and enforce rules where necessary. When that conversation leads to moments of uncertainty or drama, action rolls are used to determine the outcome. Montages are periods of rest, unhurried exploration, and training, condensing the mundane but necessary parts of an adventure into the shortest time possible. Let each character undertake a task, a long action that benefits the crew in some way, or uncover something about your location. Montages are the most common way to explore new ports, allowing characters to split up to find information and resources before meeting up as a group again for the start of the next scene. And journeys allow your crew to take to the waves in your ship, cutting your way to a new destination. While you travel, you'll take turns at the helm or on watch, or at other stations, making decisions and facing challenges as you make progress across the waves. Journeys should never be taken lightly. The Wildsea is a hostile place, and the longer you sail, the more risk your ship, crew, and characters face. So, in summary, it feels like scenes are the most present actions, the most present situations, and how you address them. Montages feel like downtime. They're windows between moments of action where your characters are tasked to either care for the ship or learn more about the setting or location. The goal is to do something that requires more time that will benefit the crew. And journeys are your periods of travel between your montages and your scenes. This is when your ship is actually traveling through space, through the Wildsea from one place to another, and you guys get to split watch or split responsibilities as you try to get there safely. I think I got it, right? Those are the three things. Let's see from here. Okay, let's look at focus. Focus is a kind of narrative spotlight. So I guess the question we're going to be addressing is there a turn order? Is there an initiative? Is there a flow? How we switch from one player to the next? Focus is kind of a narrative spotlight, which will move from character to character during the game. It shifts naturally in response to the conversation. Whenever your character is doing something interesting, the focus is on you. When you finish, another player will take it for a question, comment, or action of their own. Ideally, every character will have some time in the spotlight during the course of the game. The Wildsea works best when the whole crew is involved in the situation, reacting to each other's ideas and decisions. If you feel like you've had the focus for too long, try to pass it to one of the other characters. You can do this within the fiction of the game by asking another member of the crew a question or by involving them in an action you're taking. The Firefly will also be keeping track of focus. If a member of the crew hasn't had a chance to contribute for a while, the Firefly will likely shift focus back onto them with a reaction, prompt, or question. I feel like I saw something in one of the videos that demonstrated how to do this. You basically have the names of your players on the side, and you keep track of how many actions or reactions each player does. So when most of the players have a significant number of actions or reactions, and one player is lagging behind, you want to make sure to shift the focus to the people who do not have nearly enough focus or playtime. Okay. Keep going. Okay, I think hooks are a descriptor for how to keep the narrative flowing, how to keep the narrative focused specifically on the players or the crews, the wants and goals, it says, of the characters it's comprised of. It's mostly made for allowing players to explore the world that has already been fleshed out and exists, which is neat. Okay, what are tracks? What the heck are tracks? And these feel like, if what I can guess, is progress trackers, but let's get the specifics. A track is a named string of boxes or circles that are filled or marked to measure progress towards an event, accomplishment, or danger. And by the way, for people listening, we do plan to end in 30-something minutes, so the last 20 minutes will be spent looking at character options to see what possible things we could create during the character creation process. So for now, we're just trying to get the base foundation of what it looks like to play this game and run this game. A track is a named string of boxes or circles that are filled or marked to measure progress towards an event, accomplishment, or danger. So we're kind of familiar with these. These feel a little bit like the clocks from games like Blade in the Dark, as well as progress trackers and other games that we've covered before. But tracks do more than measure progress. I see. Immediately called out. They're an excellent visual reminder as to what your character could or should be doing in a particular scene or situation. Marks on a track leading up to something negative, maybe you should try to clear those off. Empty boxes on the track you want to fill might be worth finding out how to fill them. Here's an example of the kind of track you'll run into a lot, one set by the Firefly to measure progress towards a particular event. Festival of Hives. Even though the track hasn't been marked yet, it's already giving you information. The name of the track clues you into what it's counting up to and what's likely to happen when that final box is marked. The length of the track, which is 3 boxes, lets you know how many marks it'll take for something to happen. Imagine you and your crewmates are spending time in the port. When the sun goes down, the Firefly marks off the first box on the track, like so. Now you have your next bit of important information. When the sun goes down, the track gets marked. You likely have 2 days left until the festival begins. And sure enough, when the sun goes down on your 3rd day in port, the Firefly marks the last box, filling the track completely. Bees swarm the rooftops and the streets run with honey and laughter. The Festival of Hives has begun. Oh, so it's ultimately a good thing when that happened. That's an interesting concept, to name a track and not give your party any more information about it. Most of the tracks you'll come across will already have names, either taken from the pages of this book or made up by the Firefly. If you get the chance to name a track, try to go for something that makes sense at a glance. The easier it is to understand, the better it is in conveying information. When someone advances the track, you mark it, putting a single line through one of the boxes. And these are examples. Specifics of marking a track are very much down to the situation. Some are strict. I see. Some tracks might be marked normally in some way, but accelerated in others. Festival of Hives on the left might start early if an enterprising crew brings extra supplies. The reverse is possible too. A particular event or environmental effect may make marking a track impossible. In the case of the Festival of Hives, this could be a problem with the supplies or a serious spore swarm rolling in that halts preparations. This feels like, if I may, it does feel a little bit like clocks. Hello, Kendall Keep Kate. Welcome to the stream. This feels like quest trackers. If anyone here plays like MMOs or things like that, like the multi-tier quest trackers, it's a interesting way for game masters to help players visualize their progress throughout play. And it feels less, I don't want to say urgent, but it feels less urgent than clocks in Blades, where clocks almost always represent the core foundations of what's going on in the session. Like it always feels very pressing to deal with the clocks. This feels like you gotta throw down a track and you're like, okay, when it happens, it happens. When you get there, you get there. You know, things like that. And they could be leading toward the progression of an event or a character progression, or let's see what this is. Clearing and burn. Marks aren't always permanent. Sometimes an event or ability will clear a box on the track, removing a mark rather than making one. Healing an aspect will clear marks that represent damage, and buying from a merchant's direct competitor would likely set up a friendship with that merchant back a step. A burn is a special kind of mark that can't be cleared without expending considerable extra effort. Got it, and that's 2 lines. Cool, cool, cool. Yeah, it definitely feels like a quest tracker, because I'm looking at, right, if I see this, right, if my DM shows me this, the rumbling begins, and then these things next to it, I'm gonna be like, okay, I want to know what triggers it. Let me figure out what sets it off, you know? Definitely feels like a quest tracker. Something a little less urgent than what we usually try to fill up. So it's, I don't know. It reads like side quests. I know they're not all side quests. Probably some of them are main quest stuff. And you know, someone playing D&D every now and then you want to set up a little quest tracker on the side. It's very rarely ever that linear, but could be interesting. Okay, cool. So that's tracks. Okay, final. Let's look at action rolls. Action rolls are how we get things done when the result is not guaranteed, right? That's how it goes. When your character does something during the game, it's referred to as an action. Most actions are entirely freeform. If it feels right for the situation, or you think your character has a chance of pulling it off, you should go for it. Sometimes the action you want to attempt will be difficult, dangerous, or dramatic. In these cases, the Firefly may ask for an action roll. A roll of the dice to determine whether your action results in triumph, conflict, or disaster. Right, yes. Or it might have twists. Why is twist bolded? Maybe we'll find out soon enough. Okay, so this is how it happens. Number 1, building a dice pool. Actions are rolled with between 1 and 66s by making a pool and looking for your highest result. Your pool is your edge. Don't know what that means yet. That's a 1d6. Skill or language up to 3d6. I'm guessing if you have up to 3 applicable skills or languages, you can add up to 3d6. And then advantage, which is something you gain, I'm guessing, if the situation favors you, but we'll find out. These are all available on your character sheet, representing the ways you most effectively tackle problems. Okay, look. If one of your edges is appropriate, it adds 1d6. And if one of your skills or languages is appropriate, it adds d6 equal to the rank. So each of these skills can be ranked from 1 to 3, is what I'm assuming. And you only gain the benefit of 1 edge and 1 skill or language. Perfect. Advantage is anything you can use from your possessions to your favor. You can, if you have advantage that helps your situation, your action, it adds 1d6, but if you have many different sources, you can have up to 2d6. Cool. Okay, you describe your action. Pretty straightforward. And then rolling and reading the dice. When your pool is ready, you roll all the dice in it at once, and then read off the highest number as your result. You should also read off whether you got any doubles. Why? Why? The number shown on the doubles doesn't matter, just whether 2 or more dice came up the same. Why are you asking me this? Managing a triple or higher still counts as a double, so there's no mechanical difference in the outcome of the roll. Okay, if you say so. Playing the outcome. Reading off your result kickstarts the conversation again. Okay. 6. Triumph. Makes sense. Highest result is a triumph. Cool, cool, cool. A complete success with no drawbacks. If you're affecting a track, this lets you mark or clear a box. Fantastic. No problems. 4 or 5, conflict. Still success, but with the drawback of some kind, such as taking damage or losing a resource. Okay. Partial success or half success, or success with consequence. There's still many ways to say that. If you're affecting a track, this usually still lets you mark or clear a box, right? Disaster. I don't want to say 50% odds because you're rolling so many dice. But a failure that also introduces a narrative, complication, or drawback of any kind. If you're affecting a track, this usually doesn't let you mark or clear at all. And twist. Oh, doubles are twists. An unexpected outcome in addition to the usual result. Often something small, but potentially useful. The twist can be suggested by any player at the table. Oh, sick. But the Firefly has the final say. This little twist thing is something that's really cool that coincidentally I found in the book we read just before this, The Wasteling of Claw's Manor. There's this mechanic called the twist, where you can gain another die to roll to improve your chances of success, but you have to accept a guaranteed consequence to the result of your roll, success or failure, and the other players help you decide what that consequence is. So you kind of like toss it to the table. It's like, hey, I want to do this really well, but and I'm willing to take on a little bit of danger to do so. And everyone at the table is like, well, it'd be really cool if you lost something, or you know, or it was a price to pay, or you lose your balance, or there's someone pops out of the bush and surprises you, things like that. So like community sourced twists is very fun because it gives the players something to do even when it's not their turn. So whenever you get doubles, that's pretty often, you get a twist. Okay, so let's give it a whirl. Let's roll something for fun and see what happens to us. I'm just gonna open up Dice Roller. My New Year's resolution was to find a better dice roller than Google Chrome. Can you guys hear home talking to me in the background? Okay, never mind. So example, right? I don't know what actions there are. I don't know the rules yet. I want to jump from one chainsaw ship to another, right? Let's hypothetically say that I have an edge in the situation. Something from my past or my background or my aspect gives me an advantage. That'd give me 1d6, right? 1. Let's say I have a skill. One of my skills is, I don't know, acrobatics. I'm sure we'll know what the skills are once we read further, but let's pretend I have 2 points in the skill acrobatics. That would give me 2 more d6, so a total of 3d6. And let's say I have an advantage. The wind is blowing favorably in my direction. I would ask the GM, does that give me an advantage? And the Firefly or the GM says, sure, why not? That would be 4d6. The goal here when I roll a 4d6 is that I have to get a 6 for a full success, no complications. That would be ideal, right? It's possible I'll get less than that, but let's try it. I'm going to roll 46. This is for my edge. Fantastic. This is for my skill, which is 2 in acrobatics. Bad rolls. And then this is for my advantage because the wind is blowing favorably. 5. So, what does this mean? If we have 2, 2, 5, 5, it means that our highest result is 5, which is a success with consequence. What did they call it in this game? Let me just find out. Conflict. They call it a conflict if we roll a 5, right? So success with drawback, and if I'm affecting a track, I would be allowed to usually mark or clear a box. And because I got double 5s, that's a twist, which means the Firefly can give me something a little spooky to make this more interesting for me. So if I was a GM, right, and my player rolled 2, 2, 5, 5, I would say, yes, you jump from one ship to the next, you land safely. Unfortunately, you left your weapon behind on the ship that you just left. So you're exactly where you want to be, which is the other ship, but you have less opportunities to defend yourself should you need to. And or you land on the other ship and you feel that you are off balance because this ship is unbeknownst to you, already sinking. So, a couple different things you could do there. And that's how you would handle a roll where the outcome is undetermined. Let me see. With that said, oh, this is something I wanted to see too. Cut. I saw this in one of the videos. Cutting a dice roll is represented by removing a number of results after the roll is made, starting with the highest. The larger the cut, the less likely you'll get a straight success or doubles. So this removes the highest of your rolls. So if, for example, we had the same roll we had before, which was 4d6, cut 1, we would have to cut our highest roll, which would be a 5, which makes our roll 2, 2, and 5. The result is still the same, but we've somehow removed the twist. If we had to cut 2, we would cut this, and that would make our roll a failure. Whenever you cut, you have to reduce the highest result, which adds another level of stakes to it. Cuts seem to be very dangerous. Okay, that's cutting. Now, with that said, not too much time to keep reading. I'll let it be known that there is so much more. If you look on the side over here on this left-hand panel, you'll see how much stuff we're passing through just to not just understand how to play this game, but like how much there is to pull from in terms of resources, tips on how to run the game, how to help your players understand what it looks like, things like that. There's a wealth of resources, and always with these games, right? And always what I say at every stream, there are some worlds where like, I'm going to say some worlds. There are so many games out there, right? Again, this is number 61 of the games we've covered. You know, and I know, I'm not going to play 61 different tabletop RPGs when it comes down to my table and my friends and my home and what I find comfortable, the genres that I enjoy, the games that I like running, and the ones that I think that my friends will really tap into and really resonate with. There aren't 61 tabletop RPGs that my friends will enjoy. So, the point of this stream, the point of this series is not to convince you to play 61 different games. It's to point out exactly what you might find interesting or useful to bring to the games that you do want to run. Even if Wildsea isn't the game for you, and let it be known, this game is robust and available for you to run a very long campaign with a whole lot of character options, a whole lot of lore already built in, and a whole lot of world to explore. This is a huge candidate for a very long campaign style game. That said, if it's not your vibe, if you don't think your friends are going to enjoy it, that's okay. There's still so much to learn from this that you could take from this game and bring to others. You would be surprised. I just started running a 5e game. Like, I'm picking up a campaign I started like 2-3 years ago, and my New Year's resolution was to finish the campaign this year, because, you know, 5e is something I'm slowly falling out of favor of, and it's just something I want to now be good at, or just want to wrap up my loose ends and things like that. Running the first game of 5e in 2025, crazy experience, because in my head I'm thinking about risk rolls, I'm thinking about clocks, I'm thinking about a whole lot of different progress meters and risk reward systems that I've learned from other games that don't really rely on the 20-sided die, that don't really rely on the character sheet. I ask my players questions and a relationship dynamics that they never felt pressed on before because it wasn't on the character sheet, but these are new bonds that I want to foster that tap into character creation tools that I found from other games, specifically PBTA, specifically Blades in the Dark. There's a lot of games that I've since pulled from that have altered how I run games, that I find more fulfilling, that I find more thorough, that I find that D&D in all of its wide breadth of options and character creation tools and GM tools, things that I've picked up from all the other games I've read are proving really, really useful, which is wonderful. So, if you are looking at this game and you're like, I don't know if I'll ever run this, right? I still implore you to check out the free version which is available both on itch and on the MythWorks website, to see if there's anything in this book that really inspires you. Whether it's the way the world is written, whether it's the new species that you can find, maybe it's the formation of different ships and different ways of travel. The cool vocabulary might even inspire you to have your characters move and talk and interact in different ways. The concept of scenes versus montages versus journeys, things like that. I want you to really challenge the games that you currently run and see how they can be evolved with what you can learn from other games out there. Once you treat reading a tabletop RPG as more of a will I, won't I run it, I feel like people take these things, these tabletop RPGs, and imagine them as just, I don't want to say just, but like board games, like party games, things to look at and judge solely on the fun aspect or the play time aspect, when it's so much more than that. These things are works of art. They're entire breadths of creativity that are unparalleled. Like, you look at this and you can understand the concept of a world so much faster from this than from any novel you're going to read, right? If you just want 150 pages of a new world that you didn't have to come up with, you could find it in this game, right? If you just want 12 pictures of really cool ships, you can find it here. So when it comes to picking up new games, it's much more than just playing them. And that's a silly thing to say, because games are about playing, right? But when it boils down to it, when these things are works of art and bodies of inspiration, it's so much more interesting to look at a game and be like, what can I learn from this, take from this, that'll improve my future games? Like, I just played last month 15 hours, 20 hours of a game about an eldritch Santa Claus, which is the Wassailing of Claus Manor, which was my favorite game of the month. I introduced it to all of my D&D friends and they all loved it. And it was just a totally different experience from D&D. And I'm like, why did they like this? What appealed to them that really yelled to them this is something they would enjoy? And what it was for me, it was a game that's very easy to pitch, very easy to learn, and immediately gets you into the dark energy that is this eldritch being known as Santa Claus. It was such a fun experience, and from that I'm like, oh, so it really is easy to teach my friends new games. This hesitancy of like, oh, will they like it? Will they like to learn it? I taught them that game in like 15 minutes max, right? Once you know that that's possible, the world really opens up to you. So know that this whole series is not me trying to convince you to play 99 games, because I know none of us ever will, not even me. The point is to find the value in looking at other games and seeing what really grabs at your heartstrings, you know? Fun stuff like that. With that said, we have my bad. We have like 10-11 minutes left of this. So let's take a look at the rest of this game. Not all of it, of course, but just a couple of character elements, things that we might enjoy about character creation and what that looks like. So I do want to know what edges are, because we did talk about that just a second ago. Edges represent the way your character is most used to solving problems and tackling challenges, what they're usually the most effective with. So this reads to me a lot like ability scores, a lot like character traits, things that you might describe your character with in terms of like strength, dexterity, constitution, things like that. So I see here grace, iron, instinct, sharps, which is logic, wit, and planning. Teeth, tides, which is exploration, learning, and lore. That's cool. And veils, which is shadows and secrecy. Okay, so these are your primary edges. Is there some number you can choose? I'm not sure, but there's 7 of them available to you. That's edges, and that's available to everybody. Skills. So these are what you would tap into specifically if you're looking to accomplish a certain task. If you look at the other one as ability scores, this is very similar to skills. Skills from D&D, should you be so familiar. And they are brace, break, concoct, cook, delve, flourish, hack, harvest, hunt, outwit, rattle, scavenge, sense, study, sway, tend, vault, and wave walk. So in the situation that we pitched earlier, where we were jumping from one ship to another, I would probably say that sounds a lot like wave walk, right? We would probably do, if we had to pick an edge, it would either be grace or iron. Actually, it could also be instinct, if you really think about it. Jumping from one ship to another. One of these three. That would be the edge we would choose. And then in terms of skills, if we happen to have, let me see. Not these. It would probably be wave walk, right? No, here, vault. A skill of dizzying heights and impressive acrobatics. Use vault to climb, leap, and tumble your way through an environment at speed. So this would be the skill we're looking at if we're trying to jump from one ship to another. Now we know. Vault. And then skill ranks, we know that these can go from 1 to 3 because they can give you up to 3d6 6-sided die in terms of trying to succeed in an action roll. Look at this art. Oh my gosh. What a really sick hammer. And then there are languages. These can also be in place of rolling a skill. You can roll a language instead if you feel like that helps you. And the languages here. Oh, I want to try to say them. Let's see. Languages are Chthonic. I know Chthonic. Saprek. Gaudim. Knock. Signaling. Old Hand. Liar Bite. Raka Spit. Brass Tongue. And Hyven. Those are how you pronounce them, I'm sure. Positively. And low sour is the common tongue. How fun. Chrome Vertebrate says, characters have 3 edges later in character creation. Starting characters have 8 or 15 points across skills and languages. Thank you. That's exactly what we needed to know. Appreciate it. And then here are aspects. Your aspects are things that make... This is probably the last thing we're going to read. Your aspects are things that make your character distinct, giving them new abilities and unique ways to tackle challenges on the Wildsea. You can have 7 aspects in total. The most characters will begin play with 4 or 6. Additional aspects are gained through character progression. 3 types of aspect. Traits represent the benefits of training and experience or the innate functions of your biology. Gears act as a catch-all term for the weapons, armor, and tools your character relies on, and companions can be anything from a trained animal to a construct, a living spell to a captured spirit, something that fights alongside you, acts as a mount, or scouts out places you would normally be able to access. Aspect examples. Towering, you stand head and shoulders above most others. Shank worker, increased impact when working on a project using wood, sap, or blossoms. Nothing stays buried, marked to identify hidden or forgotten space in your vicinity by gut feeling alone. Jagsary. Jagsary? Jagsary. The archetypal hacker weapon, a sawtooth saber that deals close quarters hewing or serrated damage. Hextooth, marked to levitate and control exposed bone. Iron ring jacket, you're resistant to 3 damage types, chosen from the following list: blunt spike, serrated, toxin, and volt. Swarm Scout, a single spider you can send ahead as scout, allowing you to see and hear at a distance. And Prow-nosed porcupine, not the easiest creature to pet, but you learn to live with it, ignore cut caused by pain or discomfort. So we learned a couple things here. Different aspects and have different lengths of track, and you have this track to, I guess, help you out during certain goals, during certain actions, to stave off injury. Different ways to use track are available per aspect. And we're learning about different damage types. I'm assuming that as you continue on, you're going to learn about different weapons, different damage types, how combat might play out, things like that. And then there are what I'm assuming are tons and tons of aspects, and these are also ways to improve aspects, or the ones you already have. As I understand it, you can only have up to 7 aspects, but you start with around 4 to 6. So this whole game is made around customizing which aspects you find the most useful to your character, and apparently creating unique aspects is also an option in this game. So keep that in mind. I feel like this seems to be the most thorough. I won't say thorough. Has the most amount of options, I would imagine. It's a Jaggery on page 91. Oh, sick! Look at that. Cool looking weapon. And then resources are things you collect. Whoa, look at this art. It's like amber contained creature within the skeleton of a 3-eyed shark. Wild. Okay, so these are different resources you can collect. There's the mire track and the drives. These all appear in the character sheet. And I believe that's all I have time to look at today. We got through 49, which is we got through 49 out of 185 pages. So let it be known, I've been reading this for the better part of an hour, and I'm not even a third of the way through, which is wild. The full book has 370 pages, if I'm doing the math correctly. You can check that. 364 pages in this book. The free version has 142, so you could check up this one if you want to just take a look at this, or you could re-listen to the stream, which is also an option. If you want to pick this up, you can find it at itch.io.com at Felix Isaac's page. Can I find it on itch? I already showed it earlier in the stream, so trust me on that. Or you can find it at the MythWorks website. Thank you again to the MythWorks team, the people that I got to meet at PAX Unplugged. You guys were awesome. Your booth was very stylish. Lots of really good games looking, sitting on your displays. Next week, if you're tuning in, I'm gonna be covering Slug Blaster, which I've been meaning to cover for like a year now, and I asked for express permission from your contact team, so happy to be looking at that next week. But for people who were able to tune in, thank you so much. Thank you for Felix Isaacs for joining us in chat. How cool is that? Golly, this game's been on my radar for a good long time, so I'm looking forward to reading a lot more of this in my own spare time, which is going to be really, really fun. So thank you guys for tuning in. Again, this has been game 61 of 99 more. We have 38 more games to go in the year 2025. Wish me luck. Have a wonderful night and stay frosty.